Welcome to the Build From Here podcast. On this episode, this is no stranger to this podcast. You've seen him a few times, Mr. Kevin Wright. Excited to have him back on. Glad you're here, man. And in studio, in person. It's always fun when you can do them in person just because it's close and personal. And we actually got to go out and train this morning, and the dogs didn't act like fools. They all listened well. They were steady. They did what they're supposed to do. And I got to say, man, I'm blown away by Mabel. I was talking about this, and I'll link up his episode so as y'all are listening, you can go back and listen to his first episode. But I think your first episode with us was February 27th of 2025. So just over a year ago as of recording this. And because we're in 26 now, and it's just been incredible to see. Mabel is four now. So just seeing Mabel's journey from like when the first member weekend you came, as I was listening about the episode, I had forgotten that you said that you had never even duck hunted at the first member weekend. Like you were figuring all that out, and as you're doing all the mock hunting, so that was kind of cool because you're getting to learn all that. But from that first member weekend to where you're at now with Mabel, and really where you're at in the dog community, man, you're just all in. I would say you're becoming a pillar in the community. Like you're helpful to people. It's just been amazing to see your growth. So I always like to honor people before we get on. Hopefully I don't make you blush too much here, but I just am grateful for you and thankful for all that you've done and all the people that you've helped, because you really have done a good job. And more than anything, you've modeled it yourself, like how to navigate those challenges, because Mabel did have those challenges in the group environment at Member Weekend. She was struggling to begin with, but that encouragement it has helped a lot of people, because a lot of people face that and they think, oh no, my dog's not going to turn out. And you faced it and you just stayed steady, calm. And then now, we're out there today and Mabel is crushing this, like blinds, marks, steady. And we've got Birdie is a younger dog, had all the dogs out there, and two dogs out there, and she's just crushing it. So now every time I see you and Mabel work, I've just seen you guys work really good together. Even in the member weekend environment, not only are you able to work your dog, but you're able to like help others. And we'll get on to that in the leadership and the podcast and chapters and all that in a minute. But man, I'm just grateful for you and just glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here and appreciate the kind words. I'm just glad there's no video from that first members weekend or two, because that was it. At the time, it felt like a train wreck.
Too bad you didn't have those meta glasses back then.
Oh, no. That would have been deleted. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, because I can control that. But
that's funny.
It's been a crazy and roller coaster at times. And, of course, look, I'd be lying if I didn't say there were a couple of times that I was like, this is beyond me. I'm ready to quit. But, we had no choice. We kept going through. We started the journey, so we're continuing it. And there's still holes, there always are, and there's ebbs and flows. But what I have learned is we can work through it all. It just may take a little bit of effort, some things a little more, but that's what you do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that perspective, because man, all you got to do is go to Facebook and go find a retriever group. Any retriever group. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Pick one. Waterfowl retrievers, any whatever, hunting retrievers. There's like tons of them. Go in there and then you'll immediately see someone. I have this problem. I'm facing this challenge and it's not going well. That's the story of training a dog. Like it's just going to happen. It's what you do next that matters. And I do think a lot of people get to a place where they're pulling out their hair and they end up quitting. Or settling. And that's, one of the things that we talk about. We just don't want to see people settle. And that's what I'm so fired up about for you and Mabel. And I'm excited to talk about this past season, because we're going to be able to talk about a story where you didn't settle. You face these challenges. I believe personally it would have been really easy, right? Because if I remember correctly, it was really just like the whining and yelping that she had a big problem with.
That was a major problem, but it was general obedience.
Okay, obedience too. Pulling on the lead, stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, because that's still a little bit of a struggle. She's 1,000 times better, and it's something I have to stay on top of.
Yeah. Because
she's a high drive dog, and she likes to go. And so, I have to, consistency is the key to stay on top of that. Make sure that she's doing things correctly. And and it's amazing, because I've sent you a couple of videos, as we've been working on cleaning up heel. When you get the dog to where they're relaxed and they're just doing what they do, they're happier.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're engaged with you, it's amazing. And then, when you get that established, what you can do out here, it's beautiful.
I like what you said, like when they're engaged with you, because like a lot of people fall into the trap of ego training, right? The dog does something, it embarrasses you, and then now you come down hard on the dog because you don't want that to happen. I mean, let's just face it. It's uncomfortable getting embarrassed.
I've been guilty of that. I mean,
I think we all have.
Yeah.
I think we all have. And it's, but getting them to want to do it, not because they have to do it, are afraid of pressure. That's always the best way. And that's one thing I like that you've done with Mabel. And again, like even at the first member weekend, like you were just, or your first member weekend, you were just calm and cool and collected about it. I'm sure internally you were feeling.
Your memory's not that good, but yeah.
Well, I just remember you just sitting there. I was worried about you. I did think you were like, I did wonder what you were thinking, because like you pulled her way back from everybody and you were just sitting there.
Yeah, on the mock hunt, I was sitting back just making her sit, watch while, and there were a couple of ladies over there, and we were talking and basically didn't know it at the time, but we were working on extinction. You're just gonna have to sit here and work through your craziness, and you're not gonna get what you want until you relax. And I mean, that was kind of the beginnings of, not that we hadn't done some of that more, but that was kind of that. And then the second members weekend was the struggle too.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't do the walk up at all.
Walk-ups are hard. Yeah. I will say that. They are hard.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of big struggles with that, and the vocal issues really came out then.
Yeah.
That was when it was really, really bad. And I was pretty heartbroken, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, after the second one.
Yeah, and I was on my way home, and I just remember, actually, I stopped at the gas station, checked on her, and I said, "Girl, we're just going to have to work through this." And we got back, and I did have some help, talked to some of the guys in the Retriever Club, and there's one of the guys that you've met, Andrew Quintana.
Yeah.
He and I, we started getting together because his dog struggled with some steadiness. And, and she's a high drive dog too. So we got out there, just the two of us. A lot of what we were doing today, just intentionally trying to get them to act crazy.
Yeah.
But then showing them the correct way. And when I was able to work on that and focus on that, the improvement was drastic and it was quick.
Wow.
I mean, it was amazing. And, and she still struggles with it some now. And, that just reminds me, and it's like everything, we mentioned basic obedience and heel. You've got to continue to work on those things.
Yeah.
Doing what we did today helps that.
Yeah.
And so you've always got to be willing and able to go back to the basics.
Yeah, I mean, when you say she struggles, I mean, where she was to where she's now, you can't even tell. Like, I mean, even at the last member weekend, like, I mean, you're over there leading a group, walking everybody around, like, and you're able to like leave her own place while you're talking and directing and helping other people. Like, that's an extremely hard skill set to get to. And that just shows your dedication. And that's really cool that you guys worked on all that and understanding the concept of extinction and understanding the concept of if this behaviors only exist because they're reinforced or rewarded. That's it. And so you can fix it. Now, that doesn't mean you can fix it in a day, but you can fix it over time, little by little. And some dogs do have their certain tendencies, right? We talked about that earlier. Violet gets a little bit jumpy. Like she'll sit there, but she'll kind of like back and forth, versus Birdie is like very stoic and will just sit there. Now, and she will break you if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention and you're not making sure that you're communicating. But most of the time, she's just going to sit there. Like today on that very last retrieve, I let my guard down a little bit, and then, Mabel goes, and then Birdie starts to go. I just simply go, "Sss," and then she just stopped like that. So like she's got a little more composure there. And you got to know the dog. It's that knowing the dog helps you respond, and let me say this, helps you communicate and helps you train, and really the right word is handle in such a way. Handle each dog differently. I don't know, a lot of times we have a saying, train the dog in front of you, but it's also kind of the idea of handle the dog in front of you. I'm going to handle Birdie differently than I'm going to handle Violet and any other dog than that. But let's now that we've kind of talked about just the background, we've talked about where you used to be back in the day, the challenges you faced. Because again, you're in a totally different place now. You're leading the chat. In fact, this is we just we had lunch a minute ago at Taco Mama. We're like, this is the place where chapter started, because that was the conversation we had. We were sitting at Taco Mama, and I talked to him about.
It was the same table.
It was the same table. Yeah. I wondered if you picked that intentionally or not. I was wondering.
Actually, I did. I thought about it when I sat down. I meant to bring it up, but yeah.
I was wondering about that. So we're sitting there. I was like, this is where chapter started, because we. When was that? This summer?
It's last year, and then this summer was when we started talking about it that February, and then we got on a call with Seth and Ben, and we talked about it. Your ideas of it, and so we took it and started running with it.
I can't even believe it, man. It's just taken off, and it's been incredible. And we'll get into chapters in a second, but I was bringing that up just to say, the growth journey you've been on has been incredible, and the knowledge and the skills that you have now as really someone that understands dog training now. You're passionate about hunting now. You hadn't really hunted in the past. Now you're getting really good at it. And maybe you two are a dangerous duo in the blind out there. Because I've seen a lot of those clips you've been sending over. Kind of a little bit jealous sometimes. You are smoking some birds. I want to get out there after some of that, man. I got to get on some good hunts like you guys have. But let's recount the season, because. We've painted that picture of the past. Let's talk about where you're at now. Let's talk about how this hunting season has been. And let me ask this question before we talk about the hunting season. I'm assuming at the moment when that first member weekend, when you came to the realization of the challenges you had, you probably weren't thinking about where you're at now. You probably weren't even thinking that was a possibility, I would imagine.
Before I showed up to members weekend, I thought we were further along than we were. Members weekend was a wake up call. It was, because, and this is what I tell people, when we talk about people coming to members weekend, I was like, don't worry about how things are. Your first one, it's going to be crazy. Your dog's probably going to go crazy. It doesn't matter, because trust me, your dog's probably not going to be crazier than Mabel was on our first weekend. I know there's some stories of before I came of dogs knocking over the tables, the food tables. Okay, she didn't do that. But,
thankfully, that was a wild one. Yes, I guess have we ever told that story on a podcast?
Yeah, you had him on. Okay. You had him on it. Okay, y'all covered it.
That's right.
Podcast.
Well, that'll be in another episode. You have to listen to that one.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Not for him
right now. If anybody's listening to this right now that's not familiar with Cornerstone, they're probably like, "What on earth is going on at member weekend?" Tables getting knocked over, dogs are gonna go crazy. Oh man, it's not that crazy, but it is at the same time.
But and then having that, at that point, of course, we probably all have that thought when we first thought, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. I'm going to have the greatest dog. Our ego comes in. It's going to be, and we all have the greatest dog. I believe that it's greatest for you, but when you don't know what it takes to get there until you do it, that's the wake up call, because it's a crazy journey, and there are times it goes so well that you're like, man, this is not hard, and then there are times where I'm done with this. I'm quitting. You go through all emotions with it. But and then getting to, heck, even her first retrieve, it didn't work like I planned on it. It was different. And I told it in the last one, but I'll recap it real quick. Her very first retrieve, they were burning fields. There was some fields burning on the other side of a levee and a ditch behind us. We were a little worried that the fire was going to jump. It was smoky, and it was during speckle belly season. And then I didn't even take my gun out of the case, because I was like, if we have to get up and go, I just want to grab my stuff and go. And so the other guy sitting there, and we had a speckle belly come over. Boom, they dropped it. And I was like, oh. And so I said her name, and she because I had her leashed up, and so she tries to jump out while she's leased.
Oh, no.
So yeah, the poor girl couldn't, and it was crippled. barely crippled.
About as bad of a first retrieve as that.
Yeah,
that could happen.
It's
Wow.
not an ideal retrieve, but we got out. I lined her up on it, and it's standing up. She ran right by it. I'm pretty sure she thought it was a decoy. She come back, and I shot it and killed it. And she went over to it, and she sniffed it at first and looked at me, and I go, fetch. She reached down and grabbed it. After that, game on. She never hesitated. She has not hesitated on a bird since. She, cripple or not, she's getting that bird.
Man.
And she got better as the season went on, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. It was amazing. Once y'all get in that groove, you've done the training, and y'all have completed the whole course at this stage of the game. So now you're maintaining everything. How was this? What season number was this for Mabel?
This season was her second full season.
Our second full season. That's a game changer when you get into that second season. How was opening morning of this season?
Well, we didn't kill a bird, but so this is speckle belly season.
Okay,
that was the first one. We didn't kill a bird for the first couple of mornings on duck season, and it was just a down year for ducks. It was a great year for geese, but down year for ducks. So it still balanced out. But the very first morning, I still remember this. We were riding out on side by side, and I'm up front. She's kind of sitting in my lap. And it was not cold. She was shivering. She knew what was going. She was so fired up. I mean, she could not wait to get out there. She knew exactly what we were doing. And it was so awesome. And we, obviously we sat out there and we didn't shoot one. We didn't shoot one the next day. And then when we finally got the first bird, I think I even told you, the first one I was talking about earlier, we had one come right in front, shot it, and it dropped. I mean, it would be what you would want on a first retrieve, an actual one. But it's screaming on its way down, hit the ground. Mabel, boom, boom, like a machine.
Wow.
I mean, it was great. Yeah.
Man. So you obviously, so let me ask you this. So this was your first or your second full season with a dog. The first retrieves there. Did you have any kind of nervousness going in, or did you feel pretty good about her? Or was that question still in the back of your mind? I wonder if she's going to remember this. Or you knew when she was shaking, like, okay, she knows what we're doing.
Yeah, I knew that. I mean, I was obviously last year, that was a big learning curve for me of handling a dog because I had never handled a dog in a hunting situation. I was a lot more relaxed. Towards the end of the season, I was fine. And, I made some handler mistakes early on, even though I had her leashed, what I would do when I would send her, when I was having her I didn't leash her this year, but last year, I'd unlatch, and as soon as I unlatched Mabel, and unleash, sit for a second, focus on your mark, and then say her name. Yeah. Just slowing down as a handler was what I learned and picked that up, as a lesson this year. Yeah.
Man, how many birds did y'all end up with?
So total this year we had 81 birds.
Okay. And
so last year,
Mabel get most of those?
That's her retrieves.
Oh, Mabel got 81 retrieves.
81 retrieves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So she had 92 last year.
So pretty close.
So
pretty
yeah,
close.
It was close.
More ducks last year.
And making a trip out to Kansas to visit Wade kind of helped those numbers a little bit. Especially that first day out there was a lot of fun. But yeah.
Yeah, you can get on some pretty big hunts. It can be 80 birds in one hunt if it goes that way. That's very rare that happens, but it does.
Well, when you've got them landing and you're not shooting them because more are coming in and they're walking 10 yards in front of your face. Mabel struggled with that. I struggled with that. Thankfully she didn't run out in the middle of them. She did break on me, but on the shots, not just running out chasing down a bird.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
So that was good. And she did get a little vocal with that.
In that environment, yeah.
And that's really intense for her, and it's hard to replicate in a training environment. It's pretty
much impossible to replicate having. I've been on many hunts where we've done that. There was one on Montana, and it was before shooting lights, so they were just pouring in, walking around. There was, 30,000, I don't know, thousands of birds just pouring in. And everybody, like, we're just standing there and just watching them. and then shooting time comes, and it's, I mean, there was multiple volleys that we limited out pretty quick. I was doubling up like every volley, like because there's just that many birds. Like you didn't have to rush, and we had 10 guys in the blind, and you're just sitting there. I say I was doubling up on every volley. We limited out quick when and everybody else was good shots too. So it was not many volleys. It was boom, 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 boom. We're wrapping up. It was a lot of birds total when you got 10 guys, but it was just to know that you're one, two, to feel like you have that connection when you know you smoke those birds. It's incredible. And the dogs handled that well, but I've been on hunts like that. That's hard on a dog. Like that's what we train for, though. We want to train for the hardest, the craziest environment. That way, if we are on a hunt and we get a few birds come in, that's no big deal. But I will not lie. There's been many times I've been on some hunts where there's some birds sitting out there, and I'm sitting there thinking, I could just smoke that bird right now. I know there's a bunch more coming, but like I want to kill that one. And I will not lie. There has been times when I'm looking at the guide and I see he's like kill. I'm before he says kill. I've already shot before the comes out because I'm waiting for that moment just to smoke them. I know the dogs are doing the same thing. They're like, come on, let's go. Just say my name. Let's go.
Yeah.
Especially Mabel with that fire. I mean, she's just like, let's go.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. We had a guy that, because I was with Mills Foster and it was one of the guy's sons, he jumped right at the time when they did. And of course, he shot it was one bird. And then he, of course, and Mabel got retrieved, and then he apologized to him. I go, for what? You shot the bird. That's what we're
here for. Don't jump out early and miss. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you better hit the bird.
Yeah, I was like, and you know this as a dog handler. Yeah, I like shooting birds. But if my girl can get a retrieve, I don't care. I mean, it's more about the dog for me now than, not that I've had some years of experience with duck hunting. There's something about watching your dog that you've worked with run out and nail a tree. Yeah.
And it's amazing. I mean, that moment is, because we work on this all year round, like, or most of the year. I mean, most people are going to take a little bit of time off, but like most of the year, like if you're training a dog, if you're preparing for a dog, like you're having just as much fun in March, April, and May as you do in the fall. It's just nice to see all that work come together in the real environment, see the birds fall, see the dog go get them. And it's amazing what they do. Like, and especially as the dog gets more experience. So let's talk about kind of midway through the season. Was there any tendencies you were seeing like, okay, this is new with her, like not a negative context, but more of like you see as the dog gets more experience, they start learning nuances of ways they can do things better to retrieve better. Is there anything that stood out to you?
Well, there were two things. One, and this showed because of what I was focusing on training in the off season, I kind of neglected a little bit, and this was on blind running because I was training for to get us through the season.
Yeah,
and so the blinds that they run are pretty simple at the season level, and depending on the judges and what they set up, they're usually not that far. I mean, usually not even 50 yards. Yeah. And a lot of times even shorter.
Wow.
And as fast as Mabel is.
Yeah, we saw her today. She's after flipping over the bumper.
If I don't line her right, she's not going to get the bird because it's going to be a struggle to be fast enough to stop her. So I focused on lining, and it was short blinds. Well, and that's what I really focused on. Well, when you get into the season, you're probably not going to have many 50-yard blinds because if they drop, they can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really a blind. Even if they didn't see, you can point, oh, there's the bird, and I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
So, and so we struggled initially a little bit to get out to distances. And then she had a little snap in her head that they do sometimes. She got very independent. I could stop her, but she just wouldn't take the cast. I mean, she'd always turn the right way, but she was going to go where she thought the bird was.
Yeah.
And so our blinds struggled a little bit with that early in the season. And so what I did mid-season, I'm like, okay, we've got to get this handling under control. We just did a bunch of walking baseball. And when we weren't hunting, we did walking baseball. And I did a lot of reps with that. And then it clicked with her one day. And it's like, she's like, oh yeah, if he points me here, there's a bird there.
It's kind of amazing how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was cool. And so she started nailing her blinds, and she was really and pushing herself out deeper because she was struggling to go longer because I didn't focus on that enough. I think I told you, and I even got some of it on video. We had 2 mallards come in. We dropped one that was about probably 50. It dropped about 50 yards out.
Yeah.
And the guy at the other end of the blind took a miracle shot at the second one. And I swear it was, when he hit it, it was probably 70 yards.
Whoa. What was he using? Do you know?
I thought he was using a 3.5, but and I know he had a mix of BBs.
Okay.
Because we had geese coming in. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he had that. Because he usually shoots 3.5s too, which I'm like, you're insane. But we did talk about it. I know it was a 3-inch, and I forget what shell he was shooting. It might have been Kent, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it dropped, and so it dropped on the other side of the levee in the rice field, and there was some grass that's growing over it. And there are breaks in it where you can see.
So when it hit the ground, how far do you think it was?
Oh, when it hit the ground, it was, I would say, at least 80 yards, maybe out to
Wow.
between 80 and 100 yards.
Because you got a 50-yarder and then you got a 90-ish.
Yeah. So she picked up the first one first, and then I lined her up for the second one, and I couldn't see where roughly, but it fell behind the row of grass.
Yeah.
So I knew it was behind there, but I knew I had to push her to it. And that was something, we struggled with a little bit, that last training day here.
No.
Her going into cover, whatever. But she got better as the season went on. She kind of learned, birds are on the other side of stuff.
Yeah.
So I lined her up and sent her back. Now, I would yell back just to kind of reinforce it.
Just tell her to
but she
keep on
really
going.
didn't hesitate, and she
went straight back.
She punched right through, and then I wasn't sure exactly where it was. She started, after she got through, she kind of started hunt mode a little bit, and they said, no, it's to her right. So I stopped her, one cast over, and then she went over, disappeared behind the grass. The next thing you know, here she comes.
Man.
And yeah, it was awesome. I was so proud of her on that point, and it was cool.
Oh man, that second season too, and that's the thing. Like, you got a professionally trained dog. Like this dog's working. Like a lot of people like hunting dogs. You hear the term meat dog, right? And it goes and gets some meat, right? And a lot of people are using that rocks or slingshots to kind of direct. It's cool that you're not doing that. Not only you got your dog sitting there steady like it's supposed to, instead of having to like walk way out there and basically walk to. And I've seen that before. There's no shame in that if you need to do that, if it's the first few retrieves. But you don't want to always be walking your dog out to get the bird, because at that point, why do you need a dog? Other than to use their nose, right? But being able to cast your dog out there and give them those directions at distance, like all the camo, all the chaos, and that be a second retrieve. So that's a classic example of a bird that would have gotten away, because you get that first one, the reasonable, easily marked, 50 yards, go pick that one up, and then a blind. That shows that the dog trusts you. To have a dog be able to do that in a hunting situation. It's one thing to do that, and that's a pretty simple training concept, right? That's, people probably practice that all day, but to be able to have that in the hunting environment when there's multiple shots going off, a dude that uses 3.5-inch shells and BB on the end, probably shooting a little more than needs to be shooting. You have all of that going on. Like, that's impressive. That's cool. So how does that feel, having a dog like that? And looking back at where you were, are you shocked that you are at this level? Obviously now, knowing what you know now, you realize, I could do this probably with any dog I want to train. Like, it's not simple, but it doesn't have to be hard, right? But it could be hard if you're unsure or don't know what to do.
Well, I really, because I talked about, when you first started duck hunting, you have this grand idea that your dog is going to do this. Well, in some ways, I really kind of am there.
Yeah.
It does not mean that there are not things. I mean, we've talked about it. I talk about it all the time. And sometimes it may sound like I'm being negative, like, hey, we've got to work on this.
Because we've got a culture of people that are driven to excellence. You're aiming for excellence, and if that's not just below excellence on anything, you're like, that doesn't count. Yeah. We must become excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, she's and there are things I learned how to teach her to do that I had no idea that I could do.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic where we are, but I'm not satisfied.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Yeah, they're never done. Like, you can train them until it's time to retire them. And at that point, then you could talk about how great of a dog they were and all that. And I do. And I love to value where they're at, right? I know you value where she's at, but I like that you're achieving for more. We want to aspire for more, because there's no point in settling for less. Like, you know now, like, if you want to accomplish it, you can do it. You just put your head down and go to work, and now you know the process to get there. Like, you understand how to get there. Was that one of the most memorable retrieves from the season? Did you have any other standout retrieves?
That was an interesting one. Yeah, that was well, that was one. Talking about it at Wade's, we were hunting the river, and that was the first bird that we shot that morning was a Drake mallard, and it was really a cool scenario. It landed before the shooting light, so it was sitting there, and it was swimming in. I mean, it bumped into a couple of the decoys.
No way.
You know, Mills was with Ruby at the other end of the blind. You know, and that's the way we would work. You know,
okay.
Kind of which end. So it was on my end, and the current's going from right to left, so it's swimming up. You know, probably 10 yards off the bank. So sitting there, and of course, Mabel's looking at it. I'm looking at it. Well, one of the
planning your assault on this bird.
Mill's grandson was there, and so one of the blinds and one of the guides. It was so cool what he did. So as it was getting close, so he got his grandson up there.
Really
gets over, and they just get on the other side of Mabel's blind, just kind of waiting right there. And so he's saying, "All right, get ready," and he's looking at his clock on his phone to count down when it's shooting light. So it comes down and goes, "All right, you got 10 seconds. Hold on." And then right when he was getting ready to say, "All right, shoot him," it got up. And that boy smoked. Because it was flying away, and that's a hard shot, you know, shooting him in the back. Dropped him.
Really?
Yeah, dropped him. It's coming down, and it's a good current. You've been in that river.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, I'm sitting there with her. It's down. Mabel. She goes, and she's never hunted in a river before.
Really? It's first time.
First river retrieve. She didn't swim right at the bird. She swam to where it was going.
Really?
Yeah.
First time ever.
First time
Never
ever.
even retrieved in a river.
Never retrieved in a river.
That's so cool.
And she went, because she hit the water and she sees it going this way. So she just swims out there and meets it where it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That's impressive.
Yeah. that was so awesome. Yeah. Now
that's a special hunt all the way around. I mean, that's cool. Yeah. How old is his grandson? I bet his grandson was so fired up about that.
I forget how old he is.
I wonder if they mounted that bird. Was it a greenhead or is it?
It was a greenhead. Okay. They kept grabbing birds. Oh, I'm going to mount this one, this, and Mills was like, "You're going to mount every bird we kill." I mean, it became a big joke.
Yeah.
But there were some that they were getting mounted. But
I haven't mounted any birds yet. There's one bird that I've killed that's been mounted, and it's at Salt Plains. It's a blonde pintail hen.
Oh, nice.
And I just let them have it because they said they were going to hang it up. I was like, that'd be kind of cool. If I ever go back, I'll go look, and there it is. I know I killed that bird, but I need to get we need some birds right back up over there.
Yes. Yeah, you do need some.
We do. Yeah. We do. I think I've got some in the freezer. Might need to mount them.
Well, I've got another memorable retrieve was her 100th retrieve.
Okay. 100th retrieve. Now that's a big milestone.
That was a great one. So, and it's funny, as we're going up, I keep talking to the guys, which they're laughing at me because I'm keeping track, my buddies in the duck club, because I'm keeping track of every retrieve. And I goes, "Oh, that's Mabel's this." And, you know, you'll hear them make comments and stuff. I mean, we're cutting up with each other. But as we were getting closer and closer, one of the guys, Greg Ladd, which most of those videos that you've seen of her retrieves was him. We call it Laughing Lad Productions. But he, so as it's getting closer and closer, and when we were at 99, he goes, "Well, what if it's a spoonie? What if it's, a dirty," we were talking about it. I said, I don't care if it's a coot or whatever, but, yeah, it'd be nice. Well, we had one come, we shot it, great retrieve, come back, and it was a Drake widgeon. Beautiful bird.
Really?
Yeah. So that one's getting mounted.
That's the 100th retrieve.
That's
the Drake
the 100th.
widgeon. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it already there? You got to go drop it off.
I still have to take it, but I've got it.
We got to see a picture of that 100th retrieve. That is special.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of the bird of me holding it. But yeah,
so, we are doing pretty good then. I mean, so second full season, already over 100 birds, so 80 or 90.
I'm 173. So yeah.
You're on track. I actually recorded a podcast with Michael Davis. It's not out yet. It'll be out at some point. But it was his Marley's 1,000th retrieve. We talked about that, and based on the track record that you're on, you're already 170. You're heading right to 1,000, and you just keep trucking along. You'll be there. I forget how old she was. I think she's 8 or 9 when that happened. So it took them a little while to get there, but that's special. And what's interesting on that, and we'll have to get that on another story, is we hunted at Salt Plains together, and this was like way back. Their first real test. He had a dog that he was unsure was going to turn out. I forget exactly what the issue was, but it's in the podcast if anyone wants to listen to that. But just like you had some of those challenges that made you concerned, he had some big challenges, but he had a very beautiful retrieve on Salt Plains, and it was pretty big to him. But another gentleman, Matt Robinson, he's been on the podcast before too. They actually both hit 1,000 about the same time, and they were both on that same hunt together. I just thought that was so kind of crazy that they both hit 1,000 retrieves, like pretty close. It's but we're gonna have 1,000th retrieve episode for you and Mabel.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's great, and like I said, ducks in Arkansas were down this year for most people. Yeah. Apparently, depending on what part of Arkansas, it was either the second or third driest year on record, like 130 years.
Wow.
So yeah, that hurt. I mean, we still were able to kill a few, but last year was a lot better. But the geese were better because a couple of our fields were either on either of the eggs or were right next to the eggs, and so we were able to get some good numbers of geese. So it worked out well. It was still a fun season, and it's just fun getting the dogs out, man.
Oh, yeah. I love getting after it, man. And I like killing geese, too. Speckled bellies would probably be my favorite. I do enjoy those. I mean, I'm not going to not shoot a goose if it comes in. I'll say that. If it comes in, I do like seeing a big bird go down, especially if it's just a long drop and you hear that thump. Oh, yeah. That's a good feeling. And I've seen some of those. It's I like it, but I prefer for the birds to be close. I like 10 to 30 yard shots. That's kind of my wheelhouse. Keep them in 10 to 30 yards. I know that is a no brainer. We're gonna smoke them. Actually, Wayne, we were hunting with him, and this wasn't a goose, but he had bought a brand new 28 gauge. I think it was an Ethos, Benelli Ethos. A beautiful gun, one of the most beautiful guns I've ever seen. And I was like, looking, I was like, man, I feel like I need one of those. But I've got my 20 gauge and I love it. But he was out working his dog, and then I was getting out because I was going to go video what he was retrieving, and all of a sudden these random blackjack birds just pour in. So then I just grab his gun and pop. It did the job. It was effective. So 28 gauge is effective. But the reason I'm talking about 28 gauge is because we're talking about geese getting smacked and thumping. He smoked some pretty big geese with that 28 gauge. I was impressed. I was kind of shocked. I was like, man, we have been overshooting for years. Which, I switched to 20 not too long ago. I've enjoyed 20 gauge, but that 28 gauge, how light that little thing was, it was so light.
And your follow-up shots are probably a lot better.
Yeah. That was one of the things that he was talking about. It was just easy to stay on target. You're faster too. So like if you need to like switch, like boom, boom, you can move the barrel faster because it's less weight on the gun. But it was
less recoil.
Definitely less recoil. But it's incredible just seeing some of those big geese get smacked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's cool because he's part of the Nashville chapter, and that kind of leads us into the next part of the conversation. And then, as long as there's no more retrieves you want to talk about, is there any others you want to?
Yeah, there is one.
Okay, we got to share it.
This one's crazy. So, when the snow geese arrive, there's a lot of them that die. There's speckled belly, but speckled snow geese all over the landscape. So there's carcasses everywhere. Well. We shot a speckle belly and it sailed probably 75 yards. Mm-hmm. And it was actually still crippled, so it was still moving some. So I lined Mabel, and she's going crazy for it. And this is in the flooded, so it's running water, flooded rice field. And so as she's going, well, there are these white geese out there. She goes, and then she notices one of them, and I'm sure it's like, oh, that's a white bumper.
Yep.
And then she went and got it. So she brought it back, and I started calling them zombie geese because they were already dead. Lined her up again, and they're everywhere. And at that point,
so it's momentum, a target-rich environment for Mabel.
Yeah,
she's like, "This is awesome."
She picked up 7 of those, and it was so bad that my buddy Greg, that I mentioned earlier, Greg Grant, has a dog. He got out and got side by side and drove around because it was going to kept getting
there's
further
a lot
and further.
Of dead geese out there.
Yeah, but I my ego, and this gets into it, I thought, well, I can work her through it. And because I hadn't taught true poison bird drills enough to cast her off of that suction. And so we didn't get that one. But, I mean, we got some others that day, but there was one that went out in the tall grass, and we were hunting it up, and she was bringing them, and we didn't know where it was. I was trying to have her hunt it up. And she'd pick up one of those stupid zombies, bring it back. Oh, God. And she'd go back, and I'm throwing it away. And I knew she had the right one because I hear her move, and I hear Rah! So I'm like, okay, she's got it this time.
That's insane. Yeah. Poison birds are a good thing, but I mean, I don't know. I've never thought about training for like multiple poison birds. In my mind, I'm thinking like one bird, but
that was impossible.
That's a very unique situation right there.
I'm not going to next time. If that's the case, we're walking around because we can see where it's going and getting it. Yeah, that's just your ego getting in the way.
Oh man, that's cool. Well, that happens. I think so. Speaking of egos and egos getting in the way and actually humbling experiences, a lot of that's going to happen in group work. You're going to get humbled in a good way. You're going to learn. You have the opportunity. And I think one of the things I'm going to bring up from earlier in the conversation, you were talking about, I do think if we'd have had chapters back when you first got in, I think your member weekend experience would have been totally different.
Yes.
So like Birdie, I will say having her, she's younger, having her go through the Birmingham chapter and being at multiple smaller events where we've got 4 to 10 other dogs, which is what you'll see at Member Weekend in your group, except there's multiple groups. So when you start looking at them, it's crazy. But that has helped her. Like, I feel like like we talked about today, like she's pretty solid and will like just chill.
She's very relaxed.
I attribute a lot of that, I believe, to just having her involved in the chapter because what I did is I brought her out. I just set her there and let everybody else work, and I put her right in the middle and had her involved pretty young. So that really helped. Now, that wasn't, chapters have only been around not even a year at this point, so she's older than that, but I still got her involved in some of those environments. But I think that is a tremendous helper for people that are coming into Member Weekend. Like, if you're involved with a chapter, odds are things will go significantly better than, for the past multiple years. Doing Member Weekend, we, like you said, we tell everybody, like, hey, look, don't worry about where you're at. Just come in and just experience it, because it's going to be, who knows what's going to happen. Like, your dog may respond one way or another. I do think that's helped a lot. I would love to talk about your chapter, the Nashville chapter. Love to talk about what you're seeing there, the excitement's going on, and just any improvements you see or anything that you see that the chapters are doing that otherwise wouldn't normally happen.
Well, I think, first off, my only regret about the chapters thing is that it wasn't sooner. Because you're right. It would have helped me tremendously to be able to get Mabel to a lot of that exposure at a young age, to learn that, to learn to relax, to have that opportunity to work through that. Of course, I wouldn't have understood as well as I do now what that means to do that. But you'll have people to help who've been through it to help encourage you. This is normal. That's why you train. You want them to act up in training. That's where you want it to happen, because it's going to happen. That's where you want it to, because you can teach them in that environment. It's hard, if not impossible, in the hunting blind.
Yeah, it can be difficult. So, it's not fun, too, because, if you're like me and you want to kill it, I'm going to shoot these birds. If they're coming,
you're bloodthirsty. I get it.
100%. And so I know. There's been many times where I'm like looking at my dog, and then I'm looking over there. It's a bird coming. I'm divided loyalty at this point. You know what I mean? Got to stay focused here. It is better if it can happen in the training environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, the chapters. I mean, I'm excited. You know, last year was the first launch of it with the Nashville chapter. Started off with a bang. We had awesome. A great turnout. It was an awesome time. Had a great time training, and then throughout the year we had several, you know, Seth and I got together with a few different people or just the two of us, you know, because people's schedules, especially during the summertime, you know, it's challenging. But yeah, we did all that. And then of course, you know, hunting season comes around. So, you know, that kind of kills that because you're going hunting and not training. So yeah, as this year's coming up, you know, Seth and I have talked a lot. You and I have talked a lot. There's a Sam Wolf.
Yeah, he's fired up about
Sam Wolf is jumping in and taking on some leadership and, you know, really, because he's got some grounds and plus he has some. Even though he's relatively new to Cornerstone, he's an experienced dog trainer.
100%. Yeah.
So he's going to be a great asset. He's got great ideas. And he's really fired up and like, hey, you know, let's do this, let's do that. So it's I think it's going to be a great year. We've got a weekend reserved at the Pools Knob, you know, grounds. So we're going to have a great event that weekend. It's going to be awesome. That'll be kind of our official kickoff of the training season. But we're going to start getting together because Sam and I have gotten together a couple of times. Seth and I have gotten together a couple of times, but we're really going to try to build the community of it and, you know, to get people to train together. Sam has talked about, you know, hosting several events, you know, at his place. So, you know, we'll talk through how that can work.
That's going to be cool.
We're going to, you know, we've been talking about having, you know, not just, you know, training days, but, you know, just get together and build a community. You know, maybe try to get a group and go shoot some clay pigeons.
Oh, dude,
you know,
count me in. That sounds fun. I love that.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of ideas and things like that, and we've got to just kind of, you know, coalesce all that and get a plan going and rock with that. So yeah, I'm excited about where things are going. You know, what was awesome about last year, there were 4 or 5 people that were supposed to come and they wanted to, but things just didn't work out or they couldn't come. But you know, I've reached out to them, letting them know, hey, this is coming, trying to be proactive to give them enough time to plan for this. And I know they want to come. And then I know there'll be new people, and then, you know, we'll have the same people. So I expect it probably to be a little bit, you know, I think it'll be bigger and better. If it's not, it's fine. You know, the turnout doesn't matter. It's just getting out there.
Having the community there, the people there. And that's what it is. Like, it's great to have 70 people, but I think one of the cool things I love about the Cornerstone community in and of itself and the people, it's really, when I say the community, we're talking about Cornerstone members, the people. It's unique in that this isn't really a self-serving community, right? It's not about the numbers. It's not about any of that. It's nice to have more people. It's nice to have more because that means greater impact. But to some degree, just because you have a larger crowd doesn't necessarily mean greater impact. But the richness of the community and the quality of the connections that's in the community is, I mean, it's just amazing. And we kind of talked about that earlier. Like, and we do things just differently. Like, then there's nothing wrong with the other hunting dog community out there, and I think it's great because, I mean, they got a great thing going. But we train totally differently. Like, when we come out, like, all the dogs are out at one time. And that might blow some people's minds that are listening to this. They just may have not seen it done that way. Versus other community, typically it's one or a couple of dogs out and then the rest of everybody fulfilling different roles. And I think there's always more than one way to do things. So neither way is right or wrong. But it definitely creates that camaraderie, because I will say that I do like having all the dogs out at once, because we talked about, you know, being humbled earlier. anybody can talk a big game when your dog's sitting in the kennel. But there's not much room to be talking a big game while your dog's sitting there off a lead next to you, because you could be sitting there talking about, and then you turn around, where'd my dog go? But
we've all experienced that.
Oh my goodness!
And not throwing you under the bus, but I've seen you experience it with Violet.
I'm guilty as charged.
But that's the reality of dogs.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and that I love the authenticity of that too, because that is just what it is. Like, our reputation isn't built on facades or smoke and mirrors, because it's one thing to run your dog and then put it up and then just like, cool, we're good. You saw the highlight reel. You see the real thing all the way around here. And I think what that allows is for people to get significantly better than they would otherwise. Because if you're just running to just stroke your ego, put the dog back in the kennel, and I'm not dogging at any in particular person or group here, I'm just saying in general. Let me just say this. The environment we create makes it really hard to do that. But if you're just doing that, then you're missing out on opportunities for yourself to get better. Like what we just talked about, like having that dog out more, having the dog sit there and watch, having the dog off lead. And maybe you have to start on the lead. That's totally fine. Actually,
that's what you should do.
We all know reinforcement happens one way or another. So if your dog's going to break, put the dog on the lead. Don't let it break. And then you go do that for a few weeks after going to your chapter and hanging out with people. Like, one day you could just take the lead off and the dog's just going to sit there because it doesn't know any better. But what kind of wrapping that back around to the concept of the authenticity, I think is really cool in the community and the chapters that I've been seeing. Like when I went up to Nashville, like it's the same culture and environment that we have here at Member Weekend. Like when I drove up to y'all's first event, like it wasn't any different. It was the same group, or the same feel, if that makes sense. It felt the same as if we're doing Member Weekend or if we're doing a Birmingham chapter. It just has the same natural feel, which I think is just so cool. And I attribute that to people like you and Seth and then Sam, like people that are raising their hands, taking ownership. Like, we love this type of thing, but we want more. And it's guys like you that are like jumping out there and taking that ownership and making it happen. Because otherwise, if we didn't have people like y'all, chapters would be limited to Tupelo or Guntown, Mississippi, where Barton lives, and then Birmingham, Alabama, where my dad and I live. But because people like you, now there's chapters all over the country's east to west coast, and people can meet and gather together. There was one out, and I saw a post not too long ago, and they happen everywhere. The Dallas, I think DFW chapter had a really good meetup. We had Colorado, I think this past fall, they had a beautiful meetup. I mean, mountains in the background. I was like, we got to get out to Colorado and go check that out.
I can't compete with that.
I know, yeah. And we got a bunch of like ticks, and we got a bunch of like heat, maybe some snakes you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
Don't hear the snake part. You can still come to Member Weekend. You'll be safe. I think somebody told me one time, they're like, I don't know about coming down there. I'm afraid of snakes. I was like, well, actually, it was surprising. I don't know about you. I haven't really seen that many snakes. Maybe a couple here and there.
Well, out there at Pools Knob, where you saw the grounds, I've seen one dead snake on the road. Wow. And I'm out there a lot. Yeah. Walking all through those grounds. So is Mabel. I've seen more skunks than snakes. Yeah.
Oh, you want to avoid those too.
Yeah, I am not a fan of those little jerks. But yeah, Mabel's been sprayed twice by those. Oh,
really?
Yeah, that was not fun.
Oh man.
But yeah, one of the great things about the chapters, because I get sometimes, the members weekend with that many people and that many dogs, it's overwhelming for the dog, but it can be overwhelming for a first-time person coming there.
Yeah, that's something worth talking about, because I mean, to be honest, if you've experienced the community socially or digitally, it's still, I mean, in the back of our mind, we just think, is it going to be like that here? And like, I get it. So I would love to hear more on what you're saying there, because I just wanted to throw that in there.
And it's not that the community is not welcoming or anything like that. I mean, you came up and helped me some, and some others did, but still, it can be, because it's like drinking water from a fire hose. There's a lot going on, but if you can get involved in the chapters and you've got that on a smaller scale, you can really kind of get the feel of it. So yeah, if you can, I'm not saying go to don't go to one if you haven't been to a chapter meetup. Yeah, but the chapter kind of, like I said, it's very similar, but it's in a less overwhelming manner because you just don't have the avalanche of people there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it can. I know it can because some people are more outgoing and assertive to go, hey, come get me and help me. Some people might feel, because there was a point where I was just depressed, and I'm just sitting there. Of course, Chad and Ben and I, we had met before we came and we were friends, and Chad and I would chat some, and it's because sometimes you just don't even know what to do, it's like yes. And that's just, but that, that's part of it. And it was fine. I was thankful to go because I got a lot out of it and we grew from that. And then, it got a lot better, but then the second time was when the vocal issues really went up. So that was just a different issue that I had to deal with. Third time was incredible. It was great.
Hey, you were on cloud nine that third time. I remember you were
she was doing,
you were having an amazing time. I mean, I was even thinking about that out there today, and that's been carried on. Like, here we are, we've got 2 dogs off lead just sitting there. They haven't even been trained yet. We had just got them out of the truck. They're just sitting there like, let's go. And they're just sitting there while we're sitting there talking and having a conversation. Fairly 20 minutes, just sitting there talking, like, haven't trained yet.
Yeah.
Like, having that level of control, like, that's just fun. I mean, to be honest with you, like, to not have to wrestle a dog, to have it just sit there and, like, wait and, like, be patient. Like, you can actually enjoy your life and do what you're supposed to do, which is connect to people, have a good time. And then when it's time, turn the switch on, send the dog, and let them go.
But you were talking about that. So, I was leading one of the groups and we were doing the water series over there. We had a lot of young dogs in our group, some that had barely even been in the water.
Wow.
So, there's going to be some that struggle to pick up the marks. Well, Mabel's there to clean back up. She's sitting there on her mow marsh, and we're reloading the wingers. She's just sitting there watching dogs run and do that. And then if one of them failed to get it, I would just look over and I go, "Where's your mark?" And she'd look at it, call her name, and she goes and gets it.
That's almost more fun than actually running the setup.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I might have puffed up a little bit with that. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
I mean, I know, like I've seen, like a lot of the leaders, that's where they end up getting to a place, and somebody's got to do it because I mean, I'm not going to swim out there for that bumper. I'll go swim out there for dogs, like drowning. And I've only had to do that one time, but I will not. I'm not going out there for a bumper. Forget that bumper. We'll go buy a new one.
No. Yeah, I got more at the truck.
That's cool, man. I'm excited about this member weekend.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be awesome.
Our member week, it's a little bit different. We've extended it a little bit, giving people more time. And I really think that flow is going to be amazing because the normal flows jump straight in. Like you said, you're just drinking from the fire hose. Yeah. The first thing we do is the massive group session where you've got like 50 or 180 dogs. How many, depending on how the size of the group member weekend. It'll be a little different this time. You could stretch the dog's legs. Everybody's going to be able to be more relaxed and hopefully flow into that first event with a little more relaxed because what is going on internally here and here impacts what happens out here, right? It's from outside in that things can...
If you haven't done the mass group obedience, it's awesome now that I've been a part of it, but that first time I was like... What, and of course she's never experienced anything. Yeah, that can it can be now. It's and even Mabel started doing well there at the end because we were able to work through it. So it was a great time. But that first initial shock of it is like, whoa, yeah, this is crazy. But yeah, it's awesome though. It really is awesome.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. It's
a great kickoff to it because it sets you and the dog in the right frame. What's going on this weekend. I mean, it's the way we start training. We start with an obedience session, and then we jump into the training because that gets you all kind of working together and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you shouldn't start a workout without a warm up.
Yep.
I did the other day because I took off for like 2 months of hunting season because I was just so gung ho on hunting that I was not taking the time to work out, and then I was running short on time, so I just go straight in. I go straight for a deadlift, did a quick little warm up, lightweight, throw heavier weight on, boom, pull muscle. I was like, I probably deserve that one. I was like, I'm done. In my old days, I would have just pushed through it, and then I've been hurt for a long time. I've already recovered since. But same thing for the dog setup here. Like, you don't need to just jump straight. Everybody wants to go, I want to do this 200-yard blind. I want to do this big mark. It does feel good. I'm not going to lie. I mean, when your dog does that, it does. But we don't want to neglect the most important factor, because I don't care if a dog can do a 500-yard mark or blind. If it can't sit there still and quiet and listen to you, that's not a dog that someone's going to want to hunt with, because even on the best of days, except for those days where you limit out in like 10 minutes, 98% of your hunts or 99% of the hunts are going to involve some sitting, some quietness, and like you just don't want to be having to wrestle, or even let's just throw hunting out the window for a minute, just life in general. Like barbecuing, hanging out like we were today, just going and training. Like, you need to have a calm, quiet, collected dog that's confident but reserved when it's time to be reserved, and fired up when it's time to be fired up. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because you see this not just in Cornerstone, in everything, and even some people that I've trained with that are new with younger dogs. When they're just starting out. And it seems counterintuitive, because people are so worried about the retrieve as the first thing. I'm like, no. Look, if you got a puppy and you throw the sock and the dog runs and gets the sock and wants to play, you've got the drive right there, because it wants to run and chase something. If it sees something move out here and it wants to chase it, your dog will retrieve. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about, but throw a couple of, in controlled circumstances, throw a couple of puppy bumpers, make it to where they can't go anywhere but back to you, just to be safe, because it's not the end of the world, but you don't want to develop a bad habit of running away from you or anything like that.
That's not fun, by the way.
You're just trying to shape the behavior. But don't worry about that. If they've got that early on, you want to do it, you may want to do it just to see.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the retrieves. Worry about the foundation that you're building, because you can get the retrieve worked out, and the less you screw up the retrieve earlier on, the easier it is when you get to the formal retrieve
100%.
To really lock it in solid. Because I think that's where a lot of people with the young dogs as a first trainer is they mess up. They're like, well, I want to make sure the dog can retrieve. And I get it. It's fun. We want to do the fun stuff. Yeah. But you're doing yourself a disservice and your dog a disservice by not focusing on the basics. Because if you establish that, it makes the rest of it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
It really is. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there on that. I was talking to somebody the other day. I think it comes from like old school mentality, old school mindset. You got to have I'm trying to think of how to say this the best way. I mean, the truth is, you're right. People are out there preaching, drive, make sure your dog's got the drive. I ain't worried if my dog's got the drive. I know that it's got the drive. I've got a good dog. Like, it's going to happen. But that said, I think for new people, and if you're listening to this and you're thinking about training a dog, or you've just started training your dog and you're hearing people out there, or you're seeing young dogs doing 150-yard retrieves, let's say a 12-week-old dog just doing a 100-yard retrieve, like, that's cool. That actually is going to bite you in the end, because you're not, like Kevin just said, you're not focused on that foundation. But I also understand, like, there's just so many people out there preaching, you got to drive. That's old school mentality. And that's probably fine if you're going to go a force fetch route as your methodology, because you're going to force it anyways. You're going to go down that path, and you're going to use negative reinforcement to make sure you're controlling that dog. At least in the way we're training, we're not doing any of that. Our dogs are working not out of avoidance of pressure. They're working out of pursuit of passion. Gets to, not has to. And it's pretty cool to see the dogs work that way. Like, there's a unique, it's a characteristic, a flavor, so to speak, of the dog that you see. They just look unique. But I also understand for the person out there, like, I understand that fear because when you're hearing everybody say do this, you're thinking, oh my goodness, my dog's not going to turn out like the guy I talked to the other day. He said that his uncle or somebody, family member or something, would have told him, man, that dog will never hunt. You might as well just go get you a new one, go get that dog to somebody else and get yourself a new dog. And this dog ends up turning out. Why does it end up turning out? Well, that old school mentality probably has cost, there's no telling how many great dogs never became great. And I hate to hear that, but there's a lot of great dogs that could be great. And really every dog has the potential to be great in its own way, and really can probably be great by most standards if it's handled right and it's nurtured right and taken care of. Like, nurture is a big part of this entire process. What you do can either pull out potential, or it can either stall potential, or it can basically eradicate potential. And it's really up to the handler. So I like what you said, counterintuitive. And where I want to wrap around on this concept is that a lot of dog training, at least the way we train, is pretty much going to be the opposite of what you think you should do. You think you should do lots of retrieves early. Actually, when we first did 52 plus, like, we had 0 retrieving until week 18. 0, 0, 0. And everybody's like, what about this retrieving? They're panicking. I should be retrieving. We finally added a little bit of retrieving early just to help. It's not for the dog, it's for the person. You can do a little bit of retrieving, do it like this. There was no need to do that technically. You don't have to retrieve if you don't need to. But that's a counterintuitive concept. The other counterintuitive concept is, okay, when a problem arises, when things are going wrong, most people attack the problem head on. Typically, that is one of the worst things you can do. Solving the problem by going around the block typically works a lot better because it's an indirect way of doing it. And most of the time, when you start trying to treat the problem, you're treating a symptom. A symptom is visually what you see. The root cause of that is never, I shouldn't say never, almost never, or almost most of the time, is not what you see the result of. Like, for example, a dog breaking. The root cause of that is probably going to come back to place work. It's going to come back to, it could even be heel work. Some of that could just be small tendencies that were overlooked in training. And that's a huge thing that I think if you've never trained a dog before, it's going to be hard to spot that. I do think that's why the system that we've got here at Cornerstone basically dummy proofs that, so that you don't have to worry about it. I mean, we've thought through those things because we've learned them the hard way. As Kevin said, hey, we've been there.
Well, along those lines, and this is what's cool, you mentioned in the training the back chaining of the retrieve. Yeah. Right. So one of the guys that I've trained with him, and he was throwing some out, and one of our other friends was kind of encouraging him, all right, let's stretch out. And I told him, I said, look, here's the problem with doing it. Can you get a dog to run out? Yes, you can. Yep. Then what? You don't have any tools that you've taught this dog how to handle the retrieve. So what if the dog runs out there, sniffs it, and walks off? Well, you haven't taught them fetch. So they aren't going to pick up. You haven't taught them recall with the bumper. So, because you've got it, it's not just recall, it's recall with a bumper.
Yes.
So you don't have any tools that would be like trying to run a dog on a blind without teaching them casting.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah. You have to have the tools that are a part of it taught. Yeah. That way you can handle it.
I like that you that's a much better example than the breaking example that I gave out, because the whole concept of that back chaining and having those tools to train with. A lot of people, the dog's not retrieving. Why is my dog not retrieving, right? And you start throwing more retrieves and you start trying to tease the dog. You get the dog jacked sideways. You're not addressing the actual problem. You're just addressing the symptom, and then it creates more problems. And I have seen some really wound up, if I think about fishing, I think of those bird's nests. I've seen some pretty wound up dogs. And picking apart a bird's nest is as aggravating as picking apart a wound up dog that has been turned upside down. That is aggravating.
It's brought nightmares bringing up the bird's nest. I've had trying to do that. Yeah, but yeah, that's a great analogy.
It's that's about what it feels like. It's about what it feels like, and we do that on the regular. We help people. Like I know like when you think about Cornerstone, and there's a lot of like we have people from time to time will say, I'm just having a hard time getting past the price. They're like, look, we understand, and they're like citing reasons why, like, hey, there's a lot of other options out there. They're cheaper, they're less expensive. Yes, there are. We get it. Like, we never want to talk anybody into anything because we really focus on preserving the culture, because like what we have here with people, chapters, the community is extremely special. Even if that means like we know our course is what they need. Like, even if internally, like, we know we have exactly what you need. Like, we have the recipe, the prescription for what you're looking for. But if you're a little unsure, like, we're not going to try to convince you of that, because we don't want you to come in and have a question in the back of your mind thinking, no one should ever be talked into doing this. Bottom line, they should come into this because it makes sense for them. I say all that to say, a lot of those same people will come back. They will reach back out, and we've got it in our little CRM there. You'll see 2 years ago, they were looking at this, they were asking questions, and then they reached back out and said, hey, I'm having these challenges. Do you think it's too late? Do you think we can still help? And 100% we can still help. That is the whole bird nest concept. Like, it's better to not have to unravel all of that. And like, I'm confident if you start this to begin with, we can 100% help you avoid that. But if you find yourself in that position, just know there's work ahead of you, but it is 100% possible to work through that. And it just comes down to the right things in the right order. And honestly, I would say beyond anything, it's the people. If you can just, like, I think the theme of your story here is community. Like, we start thinking about some of the defining moments for you. And honestly, like, what's really made a big difference. Yes, the course helped you. You still were running into some challenges though, right? I think without the community aspect, without Member Weekend, I don't know where things would have ended up, because everything we keep talking about, I keep hearing you say, Chad and Seth and then you and Marty, other people had taken the time to invest in you.
Chris.
And like Chris, Chris has helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
His name, he's helped a ton of people because he's just that type of guy who wants to do that.
Yeah, he and Marty love those two together.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, great people.
Amazing people, champions
Yes.
of the brand. They just
The OGs, yes.
The OGs, amazing, helpful people. I don't know where you would be or anybody would be without the community, and myself included. Where would I be? Like, I think back to when we got started, none of this type of thing existed. There was like subsets of like random communities. It's like the internet, where you find this old form on the internet when you search a topic and it's like not on a mainstream forum. Like, man, where does this community exist? So you just find this that's what retriever training used to look like, because it was just like random little hubs and subsets. But Barton really helped us when we were getting started, and he was very early on too, but there was other people that helped him and helped us. I think one of his mentors, Mark Carefield, you start thinking about the people that help you. I really believe community and connection with people is probably one of the biggest difference makers for anybody, because nobody's going to do this perfectly. Even if you're following our plan, you're going to make a mistake.
Because not many bird nests.
You're going to. It's human nature.
Yeah.
You're gonna question the plan. You're about, this doesn't make sense. Or you're about, I've been doing this way too long, and you're gonna skip ahead. And be like, oh man, now you'll come back later. I know why we did that so many times now, but that's gonna happen. And sometimes you need someone to say, hey, I see what's going on. Let me help you. And that's what I love about the community, man. And it's just, it's cool. I'm talking too much now. I just get so passionate about that. And community, and having someone
we
here.
could talk for hours, but I don't think we want a Joe Rogan-esque podcast, 6 hours long.
Yeah, we could get 6 hours. Just Sean Ryan show and Joe Rogan. Man, I don't think we're quite there yet. No. We're kind of we're in our infancy stage on the podcast game, but it's been amazing. Well, Kevin, you're going to be back on more podcasts. We're going to talk again in the future. We've kind of gone around the block. It's been amazing to recount. You've got 173 retrieves. Is that what you said? 173 retrieves. Second season. You've got a dog that's confident in the blind. You're proud to take hunting with you. You've got the ability to continue from there. You've learned a lot. You're not only that, you're involved in the community. So much good things are happening, man. And it's amazing to see how I love the word all in. And I think that defines most Cornerstone members. You're all in. Like, you're just after this thing. what's some of the final things you'll say as we kind of close out this episode? And again, we'll follow up. I know we got that 1,000th retrieve episode we'll be planning here in a few years. Maybe sooner than later.
I would love for it to be next year. That would not hurt my feelings at all.
You got to go on a tour of duty, follow the migration down, and just smoke some birds.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I'm just looking forward. I mean, each year it's like as you learn more, I realize there's a lot more I need to learn.
100%.
And there's a lot more that Mabel needs to learn. And that's what's awesome about this. And the thing is, she wants to learn. I want to learn. We both want to learn because she loves challenges. And, you can see it on her face, like today, we were doing the challenge, through the ropes, you could see how happy she was on that last retrieve, that last bind. When she come out, she's prancing a little more with her bumper, showing it off. But, that's the thing, is just to keep growing in this and keep learning, because I still, I've learned a lot, but there's a lot I don't know, and I still try to learn every day. So,
yeah. I like that. Yeah. Learn every day. That's what it's about, man. And I think that's a good way to sum it up. And again, I just want to thank you for taking the time to actually come here in person. I enjoyed training with you this morning. And again, it's an honor to have people like you. Like, I'm in awe of like you and all the members, but I just want to honor you for taking the time to do this, because like if it wasn't for you, I don't think chapters would be where they are. They wouldn't have been what they are. You're pioneering that. The leadership that you're exhibiting there is incredible. So thank you for that, and thank you for hopping on this podcast, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
My pleasure, brother. All right.